Right, this is a video on shading. Now, this is a very important part of coming up with the ideas and also presenting the ideas. So equally as important as everything we do within 1-point perspective, 2-point isometrics and the crating, we also need to be able to shade efficiently. And also we need to make that shading look as if it is creating the depth that we need. I am going to show you a couple of products and a couple of things that might help you along the way when you're shading. When I'm shading, I use something called the Touch New marker. Now this is a cheaper version of something that we call the Copic marker or the Copic marker. Copic markers individually cost about £30 a marker. Copic markers are the industry standard. This is what designers within the industry will use. Copic markers have refills that you can buy, which are little ink pots that you soak the pen in and it sucks the ink up. These Touch New ones, which you can buy from Amazon, do not. So once they've run out, that's them gone. You can buy a set of light grey to black markers. There are, I think there's 18 in a pack for about £15. You buy the same amount of the Copic markers and it will cost you into the hundreds. Okay, probably about 180 quid for that many markers. The idea of these markers is that on the top of them, they have an individual number. So each marker is a CG, so cool grey 1, cool grey 2. And you can see the differentiation within these markers. So CG3, CG2, CG1. And that carries on all the way up to CG10. And then it goes into the blacks. Now, on here is a demonstration of how the marker pens look. So we go from the top here, which is the 0.5. Then we have this one, which is the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, the 6, the 7, 8, and the 9. So all going through each stage up to the lightest grey. A lot of designers will use the greys to shade in their work. Okay, it's the easiest way to shade in the work is using a grey. When we shade in the work, we have to realise where the light source is coming from. So that's something we need to know before we decide on which marker pen to use. These markers are absolutely fantastic. Okay, I will just love these until they are out of business. We need to show you how they work so you can see when they work. You colour the base layer, which is always the lightest colour. You never colour a base layer in the darkest colour because you won't be able to get another colour on top of it. Two ways of doing this now. If we wanted to get this darker, we can either go over it again and it will make it slightly darker. Wait for it to dry and go over it again. And you can already see the differentiation between. This is the same pen, similar to what was said in the shading video about if you keep on going over something, a couple of times it will become darker and darker and darker. Same applies with the markers. You can see how that happens there. It is always worth noting that with the markers, you need to act pretty fast, else you will get this horrible line here. So when a marker has dried, it goes into a horrible line and you can see where you've started to colour. This one here where the marker pen wasn't started, was done when it was wet, you can see blends in to the colour. So if we show you this CG2 I'm using here, and then I quickly flip over to a CG3, hopefully you can see it kind of blends in and it just merges the colours together, which is absolutely fantastic. If we want to merge the colours even more, we can use this thing called, it's the merging pen, which makes colours a little bit wetter, but it also merges the colours into one another and carries the colours over. Just makes it a little bit more wet. Now, I'm just going to show you how to quickly use these pens when we come into shade. So if we take this drawing here, quick drawing that I've done, if we take the light source coming from this direction here, so the light source is coming down on here, we know this part here is going to be the lightest colour. So I'm going to choose this to be a CG1. It's going to be a CG1 that we colour in like this. You need to make sure that when you do this, you go up to the edge and you take it going all the way across. We then know that you need to colour these parts in as well. Okay, these are going to be, because the sun's coming here, this is going to be a little bit darker. So possibly a CG3, maybe a CG4. Okay, I'm going to go with a CG3 just on this part here. Just coming down. So the CG3, just so we can tell the difference between the two parts. We don't need, because this is such a quick method of colouring, we don't need to worry about just going over the lines. Okay, this is just to emphasise the depth and what the box will look like in a real life situation. Okay, with a little bit of light onto it. So we know this side over here is going to be quite dark. It's not going to be as dark as the inside parts, so I'm going to use a CG6 over this one. So like a lighter, just a little bit of a darker grey, just coming down. What we can see on this is that we have a much darker part in here that is not attracting any light at all. So this is obviously going to be the darkest colour. Okay, so a CG9 will do here. Not quite a black, I would say, but just a CG9, which is the darkest grey that you can get. This part here is the same. So we can see the differences between the lights. So we've got the greys all showing the different parts where the light is, and then we've got these parts here. Okay, we can then use our markers just to go over the edges. Okay, so we can accentuate the edges that are in here. just see the box there. Same goes when we use a 2-point perspective. So we've got 2-point perspective down here. If we have the sunlight coming from over this side, so we have it over the different side, we'll use a lighter marker. So for the top part, then we'll use a slightly darker marker for this side here. And then we'll use a slightly darker marker, so maybe a CG4 or possibly a CG5. For this side over here, because it's got absolutely no light at all. So you can see the differences there between the tones, dark, light, and the medium. This is often portrayed in, so we can see a little drawing there of a toaster. So we can see the different parts. We can see how the shapes, that was very quickly drawn. But you can see up here, you've got the differences with the depth of the parts inside the toaster. So we can see that it isn't just a solid block, or it isn't just a pattern on the top, it is actually hollow, because we've got the different shades of where there's light onto it and how it looks. Same with this part here, with the part where the toaster part goes up and down. We can see that this part here is hollow because it's a different shade. So we need to think about that. If you have a tablet at home, then there is a feature on Autodesk Sketchbook, which I will just quickly get up. Autodesk SketchUp shows an absolutely fantastic program of sketching using the Copic markers. Now we can see, if you have a pen with your work, then you'll be able to use this absolutely amazingly. You can go on and you can colour in using the markers and using different shades of the Copic marker pens here. So it has all the different shades, the greys, all the different grey shades. So you can see how it would look. So going down and using the next one and going down. And the good thing about this is that they merge into one another automatically. So you can see the differences in the colours. Again, the different shades. This is a fantastic way of doing this. Okay, so if you can, try and get Autodesk Sketchbook on your tablet. It's a free app, but it continues that working with the Copic markers. Okay, right. Thank you guys. Well done. Off you go. Off you go.